This is the Seahawkers Podcast, episode 377. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me is my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
Oh, no, your rival season, Brandon. It's a good time because we get to just take big, giant dookies all over the other craptastic NFC West teams that we hate. And this week, next up, the fun-loving 49ers. Who doesn't love to take a big, giant catfish on top of the 49ers?
It's easy to do because of all the division rivals that the Seahawks have gone up against over the years. Well, shoot, even before they were in the division together.
Yeah.
The Seattle Seahawks lead the 49ers in their matchup 30-17. The Seahawks have won 30 games, Niners have won 17, and they've only won 3 games in the last, since 2012.
Yeah. And Shanahan has the struggles against Pete Carroll, which is super fun, and is due for another year of the struggles because old Shanahan, he has himself a pattern to his head coaching career. No doubt about it.
He has a pattern, but there's a lot that we don't know about this 49ers team and how they're going to operate this year. Because
are we sure we don't know? Because I just say it's going to be bad.
Well, just against the Seahawks or bad for them all around?
Bad for them all around.
I hope so.
It's a step back year.
It does well because they made it to the NFC Championship game. And after they do that, they tend to be bad for multiple years.
Yeah, one good year, a couple of really terrible ones out of Shanahan. I don't think he's going to last that long, but it's going to be really fun to watch the Trey Lance experiment and Kyle Shanahan tenure all blow up and come to an end all at the same time here this year. It's going to be a good time.
I went back and I looked at all the years that the Seahawks have beaten the 49ers twice in a season, starting with last year, 2021, 2020, 2017, 2016, 2015, 2014, 2013, 2007, 2005, 2004, 2003.
Okay.
The years where the Niners won twice, 2011, 2006, 2002.
There you go. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while.
Three times in their history of playing each other twice or more in a season.
Yeah, as division opponents. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I heard this on an actual conversation on a 49ers podcast. Is Trey Lance closer to Lamar Jackson than Josh Allen?
Those are the options, huh?
Which one is he closer to? Is he closer to Lamar or Josh Allen? It's,
Is he closer to a former league MVP or closer
to the
league
MVP?
The next league MVP. Or is Trey Lance literally the resurrection of Jesus? I'm surprised I didn't throw that one in there.
Surprised.
Good Lord. Yeah. Is Trey Lance going to have a statue on top of the Hall of Fame when he's done with his career? Like the crowning jewel of the entire thing to recognize his status as the GOAT, like the greatest of all time, like greatest.
The greatest of all time.
Yeah. Is it going to be that? Or do they just rename the entire country the United Lances of America? Like, is that what we do?
What Trey Lance do you live in? I live in Montana.
Yeah, I live in Lanceville.
Just name the towns after him and all his children that he's going to end up having after such an amazing career.
I wonder what his 5th presidency term at president is going to look like. Is it going to be George Washington great, or is it going to be Lincoln great?
Are all 5 presidents on the Mount Rushmore, will they all have to be Trey Lance by the time that his 5th term is over?
Yeah, just at different ages because he had a different stage of greatness for every decade of his life. So that's what's going to happen there. Good God, 49ers fans. How do they come to these conclusions when all the evidence that has been presented regarding Trey Lance's play up until this point has been good luck with that.
I feel like it was different with Patrick Mahomes behind Alex Smith, whereas Alex Smith was an established veteran. He was a very good quarterback. And Smith wasn't a guy that you had to be concerned about putting the ball in his hands in critical moments. Whereas
what?
You didn't really.
You did.
Well, when he was with the Niners, but with the
playoff
Chiefs.
Games. Yeah, with the Chiefs, a big playoff games. Maybe he didn't turn it over, but he certainly wasn't going to make the game-winning play.
Right.
So there was concern when he turned it over to Alex Smith to go get a stat. 2 minutes or left, game-winning or tying drive.
That's a good point. I mean, there was a reason why the Niners let him go to the Chiefs, but he had some success with the Chiefs.
And there's a reason why the Chiefs drafted the Mahomes. Yeah.
I feel like there's no reason why they couldn't have made the move from Garoppolo to Lance late in the season last year if they had any kind of thought that Lance could be capable late in the season.
Right, and they clearly didn't. I think Garoppolo and Smith are actually a pretty good comp for one another, short of the durability.
Yeah.
About the same level of quarterback. I mean, they may have won and lost a little differently in their style and risk-taking and all that sort of stuff, but because I think Alex Smith could get it outside the numbers a little bit better than Garoppolo can. But in terms of overall success, I mean, it's fairly similar.
We don't need to be doing a bunch of comparison with Jimmy Garoppolo because, one, he's not going to be on the 49ers next year. And two,
are you sure?
I just heard Steve Young saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to ask the team for his release because it would be the smart thing to do for Jimmy. Because if he waits through training camp and they get to right at the start of the season, what they're going to do is if he's still on the team, they'll ask him to take a pay cut, which he'll have to do because no team at that point, once they've gone through all the preseason stuff, no team's going to have him come on to be a starter right at the start of the season. If they want to have him compete for a starting job, they're going to want to have him compete through training camp in the preseason.
Smart move for Jimmy G would go a lot like this. You don't request your release. Obviously you want to trade. Everybody knows that you want to trade, and the Niners want to trade you at some point in theory, maybe, which is fine. Look, best case scenario for Jimmy G is they do say, hey, why don't you take a pay cut about half and just stay home? That's the greatest thing that could happen to Jimmy G. Be making like $10 million or whatever it would be, $9 million for the next year to just sit on his butt and point and laugh when Trey Lance throws his 15th pick by week 5. I'm starting to wonder if the Niners are really going to get rid of it because it would have already happened. The other thing that you're thinking about if you're Jimmy G is, look, that's fine. All right. Like, we can take our time with this and let's just wait for that one starter to go down in the second preseason game or whatever it is. Right. And a team calls up relatively desperate. And so then at that point, his trade value goes up. I think that's what the Niners are waiting for.
That's what they would want. But I think what Jimmy would want would be to be released. And so that way he's free and clear. So when that situation occurs, he doesn't have to wait for the 49ers to do anything. He can just start negotiating a contract.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that might cost valuable, 45 minutes there or so?
You don't want to have to rely on the 49ers to try and trade him because they've had their opportunities. Why haven't they done it by now?
Because they don't believe in Trey Lance. And I think that is the real crux of all of this. Like, they can sit and protest all they like, but your actions speak a lot louder than words. There's no way they're keeping Garoppolo around if they're totally all in on Trey Lance. There's no way. He would definitely be gone by now. You just take your losses, quote unquote. What, they traded a second? What was it? 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Yeah, paid him on a reasonable contract over these years. They need the money to be able to pay their guys like Deebo.
Yeah, got to a Super Bowl and NFC Championship game, and they're going to drag their feet because they just, quote, want more for Jimmy, even though the market's not there. I doubt it. That doesn't add up.
Their biggest fear, Adam, is that they release Jimmy G and he comes to Seattle and he's the quarterback that beats them for their 2 games this year.
Well, it's either going to be Jimmy G or Dreno Schmuck. Yeah.
One of the two.
3.
I don't want Jimmy.
No, not really. I just don't think that, because you're going to end up just like the Niners, right? You're looking for the franchise guy. You have somebody that's 3 or 7/8 of a franchise guy, maybe 3/4 of a franchise guy, right? But will never be that guy, but wins too many damn games with a good team to ever draft a quarterback high. And so then you got to give up the farm to go get a guy. It adds extra risk to that pick, AKA Trey Lance.
you don't want to be in that position to where you're giving up multiple first-round picks at the third quarterback in a particular draft when you probably should have taken Justin Fields.
Absolutely. I was just thinking about that. What week do we go back and go, let's do a comparison of Trey Lance and Justin Fields this year and just see how guys are progressing and just see how much better Fields is?
That's going to be a tough comparison, though, because, man, if you had Fields behind that 49ers offensive line, now, at least with the 49ers offensive tackles, the 49ers, they don't look all that great up the middle now after losing Alex Mack to retirement, their center. They lost Laken Tomlinson, who I think went to the Jets, or not with the Jets, to the Dolphins with their former OC. And their other guard isn't very good. So they do have some struggle up the middle. That's going to be a tough thing for a young quarterback. So maybe it is comparable to Fields' situation, but I guess I would rather have like the best left tackle on my offensive line like the 49ers have.
On the Niners today?
Trent Williams.
But the best left tackle.
Yeah.
You mean like in the league or like on his team?
No, you don't think that Trent Williams is the best left tackle in the NFL?
No, he is not the best left tackle in the NFL.
Top three?
He's like 47 years old.
No, he's
very good.
He's
and
like
at 34. One point
he's 33 or 34. I bet.
No, he's older than that.
He feels older than that. But I think it was the same. Yeah, he came out in the 2010 draft.
Brown, right?
He's 33.
33.
It's not that
feels
old.
A lot older than that.
Well, because he had his whole career with Washington and then he sat out and
yeah, it felt like he might retire after Washington.
That's why it does feel like he should be older, but he's only 33.
I guess I always think of him as, I thought he was like 33 4 years ago. I really did.
Yeah.
All right. Well, he's one of the best left tackles then at that age. I'll give him that because I keep expecting that fall off year for him.
No, it's probably 3 years away from that.
Yeah. All right. That his demise was wildly exaggerated.
I know there's people in the division. You keep waiting for their demise. Trent Williams being one, Aaron Donald being another. You know, it's these all timers that you just, future Hall of Famers that you're like, okay, just start being mid-tier dude already.
You can go away now. Go live in the woods or something. Like just don't play professional football in the NFC West anymore, please. Thank you.
Deebo, he may be back playing in the NFC West. There was a lot of drama with him in the offseason, but now it seems like things have maybe settled down and that they may end up paying Deebo Samuel.
I was going to say maybe settled down. Does he have a new deal yet?
Not yet.
Oh, well, then it certainly hasn't settled down. They've just managed to keep it out of the public sphere. That's the only difference. Deebo's still pissed, and he's not going to play running back another year on his previous contract. He's like, I'm going to get paid. If you're going to play me at running back, I'm going to get paid. There
has been some chatter out there about a possible trade with the Cowboys.
That sounds about right.
Former Cowboys scout believes that there's a chance that Dallas could acquire Deebo Samuel. Oh, it's not a very likely one, but there's a chance. Okay.
Well, here's a serious question. If you're 49ers, like president or GM or whatever, what phase is your team in right now? Are you the one quarterback away from winning the Super Bowl? Or are you closer to, all right, we're starting with a new quarterback and, this coach can't seem to get over the hump, more of a rebuild? Like, which way would you go if you were the Niners GM right now?
If you're the Niners GM, you say that we're the quarterback away because I just made this gigantic bet on Trey Lance and this has to pay off or else it's not even going to matter.
But is that reality for them?
Is it reality or do they view it as their reality?
Right. Yeah.
Because I think they view it as their reality with the type of defense that they have. They make the move to get the Chiefs corner, Javarius Ward, who is okay. It's an upgrade over what they had.
He can play corner.
He can play corner.
Yeah.
But other than that, they haven't really been able to make a whole lot of additions just based on the situation they find themselves in with Jimmy G's still on the roster. They can't make any other big moves. They have guys on the roster that they want to sign to long-term deals. With Bosa coming up for a deal here soon too. They're kind of in that window where you have to make the push with the young quarterback, but you can't do it with Jimmy currently on the roster. You need that money to help pay those guys to build that, to fill those holes if you want to be that Super Bowl team.
Right. So why would you be dicking around keeping Jimmy on the roster right now for any other reason?
Because he almost got you there last year. He was one throw away from, what happened? Oh, no, that was their safety that dropped the Stafford interception.
Yes, exactly.
It wasn't a Jimmy throw. It was a Stafford throw that they just couldn't hold on to.
Nope. They both had their traditional, I'll give you one throw in that game late, try to give the game away. Just the Niners didn't take it. So, yeah, I guess probably in their minds, it's definitely a let's go for it, win now mentality. And I guess that's probably why they keep Jimmy, right? Because if Trey Lance comes out and stinks for 5 weeks, are they really going to stick with him? Is it ride or die with the guy who's played, 14 games over the last 5 years or whatever it is? Like he's barely played. Super raw guy.
Arm fatigue. Trey Lance apparently has arm fatigue that he's dealing with.
Really? Well, that's because he found out that you got to do more than just run around.
I think it was through last season that those reports came out, but still. You, as a quarterback, you don't want your name being tied to words like arm fatigue. It's kind of
not
important.
If you're under the age of 35,
right?
Yeah,
or coming off an injury, maybe
like Jimmy G. I mean, because who's at this point now interested in Jimmy? Maybe the Seahawks, right?
Maybe.
So even if
they
that
weren't
were true,
interested in Baker, I don't see how they'd be that much more interested in Jimmy. They're kind of similar guy, except Baker's a little tougher. I could see Jimmy working well in that kind of system, like the Seahawks, because you want to run the ball and you want to be relatively efficient on quarterback. Though I do worry about Jimmy's turnovers because he has those insane turnovers every once in a while. I'd rather have Drew not knowing where the ball is going, but throwing deep and risking it rather than throwing an easy pick six to a linebacker over the middle.
Well, I definitely know what Jimmy G's ceiling looks like. And that is a quarterback that when you get deep into the playoffs, you can't trust and you try to run the ball for an entire half against the Vikings to move on in the playoffs. And you throw 2 times. We know who Jimmy G is. And he's just not a guy that you can trust to win at all. It's just not. So, yeah, I would much rather see Drew Lock out there just to see, is it possible that he could be, I don't know, like Jake Plummer back in the day, played for bad team for a while and all that, and then shows up on a new team and maybe isn't great, but has Pro Bowls.
In terms of the guy I know is a better quarterback right now, it'd be Jimmy. But
yeah,
I don't want that ceiling.
I'd rather take the swing on the upside.
Garoppolo going to throw, stops, looks, throws in the middle. Ball is intercepted. Coming back to the near side, it's Diggs. At the 40, the 35 to 30 runs out of bounds. Jimmy Garoppolo throwing deep and overthrows everybody except Mr. Diggs with the interception. And Quandre now on the season. That is his 4th pick. Shooting for 5, which is what he had last year, a 26-yard return. And again, the Seahawks have the ball in great field position.
All right, getting into looking at the 49ers, their top 10 highest paid players. Jimmy coming in on top, $27 million cap hit for the season, of which they can save about $24 million if they go ahead and cut him ahead of the season. Because that's the thing. Once you get into week 1 of the season, that contract's guaranteed. So
yep,
it's going to be a lot. Trent Williams followed up, $14 million cap hit. Jimmy Ward at 13, their free safety. Seems high for Jimmy Ward.
Yeah, they got a lot of wards in the secondary.
Mike McGlinchey, their right tackle, is at $11 million. Nick Bosa sitting in just under that at 10.8. Eric Armstead, defensive end, just about $9.5 million. Samson Ebukam, linebacker, $8.2 million. Fred Warner, $8.1. Trey Lance, $7.8. George Kittle, $7.6. How the heck did George Kittle get paid? Is on his second deal. And I guess because this is the year that He has $1 million base salary and he got all the signing bonus. But man, after seeing what the receivers get, after seeing what Will Dissly got, George Kittle is going to be coming back asking for more like soon.
Underlay pronto for sure, especially with the way that he plays. And he's going to have a short career, unfortunately, because he's a lot like Bob Sanders, spectacular when he played and a total game changer, but you just can't trust their body. That's how I feel about George Kittle. Spectacular talent. Just, I don't know about that. Where's Javon Kinlaw on this list of people who are getting paid? Maybe that's why he's so salty. He's not up there towards the top. I don't know if you saw Javon Kinlaw do an interview here just in the last month or so with one of the Niners credentialed beat reporters, but it got salty, man. He went off on a dude.
Let's see, cap hit 4.2 this year.
Okay. Well, I guess they probably won't request him for a lot of media availability then, especially after his little spat, man.
What was that? What exactly?
Did you not see this?
I did, but it's been so long that I'm having a hard time remembering exactly what it was.
So basically, one of the Niners reporters who's looks to be a little bit of an arrogant dick and maybe a little overly critical of his own guys had Javon Kinlaw on his YouTube show, and Javon Kinlaw decided that he was going to call this man out and tell him that he was basically a giant coward and an idiot and blah, 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 blah. Those aren't the exact words, but you can go back and listen to it. It was kind of evident that there's a lot of drama with this guy being in the locker room with the fellow players' reaction and things like that to this interview. Just another little piece of drama to put in the 49ers cap going into this season. I think that the media and the team could become a little bit more contentious than years past.
Everything happened for a reason, bro. I'm going to show you, bro.
I respect it.
Until, bro.
I respect
if I have a catfish season this year, I promise you can rail me all you want. Until then, bro, leave my name alone, bro. I'm tired of that catfish. I got kids, bro. I got kids.
I respect it.
I got kids, bro.
Javon, I respect it.
Catfish, man. I got kids, bro. Don't catfish.
Same time,
with me, bro.
Javon,
stop playing with me.
Javon, I gotta call like I see it,
bro.
I gotta call like I see it, man.
Bro, stop playing with me, bro. I'm not playing like that.
Okay.
I don't catfish play like that, bro.
Okay.
You don't catfish know me.
I hear you, man.
You don't catfish know me, bro.
I hear you.
So it's Grant Cohn.
There it is.
Who covers the 49ers. And I guess Cohn said that Kinlaw even came up to him on the practice field and knocked his hat off.
Right.
Which, that's kind of a weird thing to do.
Yeah. Well, apparently he's talked a lot of trash about Kinlaw since the beginning since they drafted him.
Yeah.
Because he has this response video that came out after, because Kinlaw at some point goes, you know what you said, or something like that had him pissed off. And he's like, I really don't, blah, blah, blah. And so he comes out with this reaction video. He's like, I honestly don't know what you're so mad about. Is it because I called you a giant bust coming out of the draft? Is it because I said that you're only a 2-down player and can't really rush a passer? And he goes through like a list of things that he's totally catfish on Kinlaw about throughout his career. And then is somehow offended / surprised that Kinlaw fired back. And then when Kinlaw was like, dude, I basically would squash you, is more or less what he said.
Yeah.
And he's like, I wish he had taken a swing, because I'd just be getting them checks from Javon Kinlaw from this point forward, like I'd just be getting rich and retire at that point, all because he had to throw a punch. And that really pissed off a lot of the players. Like, the first thing this guy thinks about is that he's going to rile up a player to try to get him to punch him so he can retire.
Well, he's probably not wrong about that.
He's not wrong about that. But what I got out of all of this was drama. Just another bit of drama that is surrounding this team. Whether it was their terrible loss in the NFC Championship game to the division rival Rams, to the drafting of Trey Lance, to Kyle Shanahan's up and downs, to John Lynch being questioned about, his tenure as GM, on and on and on. Now this, the Jimmy Garoppolo stuff. I mean, the drama just keeps, the Deebo stuff. We barely even touched on the Deebo stuff. I bet you he's livid pissed behind the scenes still. That stuff doesn't just go away for Deebo wide receivers.
No, he was really on track to try, and I feel like he was doing his best to try and make a trade happen prior to the draft.
Right.
And that ended up not happening. But just the drama that left, it wasn't just the social media stuff where he takes all of his stuff, like Kyler. And Kyler just took all of his Cardinal stuff off his social media. I felt like Deebo did that too, but then he was literally calling to be traded.
Yeah.
And that you just don't see very much.
No, you don't. He wasn't quiet about it. And it was big news there for a minute. And of course, the Niners downplayed it and everything, like most organizations do when these things pop up. But if you're Deebo Samuel and you just watch yourself get slaughtered out there this last year, as you basically played running back for the second half of the season, and knowing your head coach and the way that he likes to play football, you're going to be doing more of that. You absolutely want the bag now.
Well, the way Deebo plays, yeah, you want it now. The way Kittle plays, I mean, those guys, the way that both of those players as receivers have, or pass catchers, they have that ability to and balance that once they get hit, they usually just don't go down on the first hit. It takes multiple dudes to try and bring them down. And when you do that, you end up taking a ton of punishment.
Absolutely.
If they were to lose Deebo, though, that's a huge hit to their receiving crew, because you got, as your top pass catcher, George Kittle at tight end. You got Deebo, Brandon Ayuk, those three. And then I guess maybe Juwan Jennings is their 4. I feel like Kyle Juszczyk's a better 4 for their receiving. The guys catching passes.
Juszczyk is better than Ayuk.
That could be.
I would think so.
You got Elijah Mitchell probably penciled in as their starting back. They did draft a back in the 3rd round.
Yep. It's that plug and play Shanahan run game that has been going on for a couple generations now.
Yeah.
So whether it's Elijah Moore or 3rd round back guy, or, some fisherman I see on Rock Creek tomorrow, somebody's going to put up their 1,000 yards rushing. That's for sure.
It could be tough, though, depending how the middle of the offensive line responds. They have Jake Brendel now penciled in at center.
Yeah, the great Jake. How do you not know who Jake Brendel, whatever the hell his name was? How do you not know who he is?
So their interior of the offensive line, a big weak point. On the defensive line, they have a strong defensive line. You got Kinlaw, Armstead, Bosa, Ebicam, Drake Jackson on the edge. I think Drake Jackson was one of their draft picks. Linebacker, you got Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, so they're good at linebacker.
Yeah, the front seven's very good. I think that's the one thing you can say about the Niners that you have to concede. Their front seven on defense is very good. And then what? And then the rest of the team's kind of below average.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Ward at safety is maybe a top 15 safety?
Yeah, 20 to 15.
But the corners, Javarius Ward, he's their top guy. Emmanuel Mosley, Darquez Denard. Yeah. Javarius Moore at safety.
Bunch of league average guys. Yeah. I mean, their secondary hasn't been anything to write home about for a while now.
I'm sure there's a lot of Niners fans that aren't super upset about losing Tart.
Oh, probably not.
Feel like he was on the wrong end of a lot of plays over the years.
Oh, for sure.
You want to take a look at the Niners schedule this season?
Okay. Let me see. Let me pull it up here. And when I mean pull it up, like not pull it up at all. Loss, win. Loss, win. Loss, firing. Loss, win. I don't know how many weeks that was, but that felt about right.
Well, you gave them 2 key victories, which is
okay.
But a lot of nice losses as well. They start off the season. Now, you talk about comparing Trey Lance to Justin Fields. We may get that comparison right out of the gate because they start off on the road in Chicago, week 1, facing the Bears.
Lucky for them to go there early in the year when the weather's good.
That's a good thing for them. But it also could be their first real game with Trey Lance behind center.
Well,
so maybe you're right. Maybe that could be a loss.
Yeah.
Then, of course, they face the Seahawks in their house, their home opener, and they lose at home in front of their fans to the Seahawks.
Rashad Penny's big day powers the Seahawks to a convincing win.
Then they go on the road. Oh man, I wish they could win that game at Denver though. You had them. You already called this out as a loss at Denver.
Yeah, that's because Russell Wilson, I think, has a partial ownership stake in the 49ers, right?
He does.
Since he's owned them for the majority of his career.
All right. So Denver gets their first win of the season against the Niners.
There you go.
Because they lose week 1 to Seattle. And then, yeah. All right. Yeah. But then they get their first win of the season, according to you. It comes in October on Monday Night Football against the Los Angeles Rams.
It sounds about right.
They always beat the Rams.
Yeah. It's that weird NFC West carousel of who beats who.
I just like that you knew that instinctively without knowing the schedule, that their fourth game was a win and it came against the Rams.
Yeah. I felt it in the force, man.
Okay. So you had loss, win, loss, win. So the next two losses, 2-game road stretch against the Panthers and the Falcons.
Yeah. Those are the two bad losses that lead to like one last win to try to save Shanny's job. And then the loss after that, it's over.
They get the win in back at home against Kansas City. And it has you thinking, okay, maybe this is okay because they just beat the Mahomes.
Right.
But then they lose on against the Rams for the first time in forever, the week later in week 8. And then going into the bye, they have to fire Shanahan.
Does that really line up with their bye? That's amazing.
It does.
Yeah. Hey, this feels more right by the moment.
They come out of the bye.
Interim head coach, not Ra Sala.
Yeah. With a 5-game home stretch. Although I think, what's that Arizona game on Monday night? I don't think it is. Is that the game that's down in Mexico?
Maybe. That sounds about right.
But still, that is quite the stretch of home games. Chargers, Cardinals, Saints, Dolphins, Bucks.
Yeah.
So you think that they'll have 2 wins going into the bye week? 2 and 6?
Yeah.
Who's going to be the interim coach coming out of the bye week?
I told you, not Ra Sala, since he's gone. He's whoever his replacement is. Yeah.
I think they have Anthony Lynn as their running backs coach now.
Oh, is that what it is? Well, there you go. That would be the logical choice. He gets a win over the Chargers, Anthony Lynn does.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
Anthony Lynn is the interim coach coming out of the bye just in time for the game against the Chargers.
That's right.
And then he gets a revenge win?
Yeah.
Okay, then Cardinals, New Orleans, Miami.
Yep. Lose the Cards, beat New Orleans because they'll be on their third string quarterback at that point.
Lost to the Bucks. Lost to Seattle.
And they get swept by Florida.
So now we're 5 and...
Yeah, they're going to need 2 more wins to not be the last place team in the division because I had the Cards there, I think, with 5 wins or 6 wins, something like that.
Yeah. Well, they close against Washington, Vegas, and Arizona, so they'll win 2 of their last 3.
There you go.
7 and 10?
Vegas will be resting everybody with their first round bye already secured after the Broncos imploded.
You're picking Vegas for the first round bye?
No, not really. But I did. That was just, just another dig at Broncos country. Let's ride.
Let's ride.
Can the Niners please come up with some
catfish
catchphrase like that for this year that I can make fun of them for the rest of the season? I need that in my life.
Well, they're the faithful.
That right there in itself is an oxymoron, is it not? Have you not seen the stands when it's sunny out? Oh my stars! It's too hot to watch this game. Let me go back to the parking lot to my air-conditioned awning to be sure to have some wine and cheese as I drive back to the Bay Area.
I feel like the San Francisco faithful should have been faithful enough to keep their team in the actual city for which it's named.
Yeah, exactly. No, they're a terrible fan base and they know it.
It is a long drive from San Francisco down to San Jose.
It isn't short, I'll tell you that. And yeah, I'd be a little extra pissed I wouldn't be extra pissed if I was a 49ers fan. I'd probably just be depressed.
You could just change your team
as a whole, because you had that fandom in your life. Like, I don't know how you'd get past just waking up every morning.
Maybe the faithful is how they indoctrinate everybody. Be like, well, see, you can't switch your team because we're the faithful.
You're like, are we sure? I'd like to pick a team that's still not living in the 80s. That'd be great.
Jacob Hawes sent in a message, says, hi, fellas. I had a would you rather question for you. Would you rather, 1, beat the Whiners twice a year, or B, beat the Lambs twice a year? Why can't we do both? Well, because we can't have nice things.
Clearly, he doesn't know how to frame an argument on a fan podcast. Should the Seahawks beat just the Niners twice a year, or also the Rams twice a year? I mean, is Trey Lance closer to Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen?
Well, I think that if I had to pick, I would absolutely pick beating the Niners twice a year, because there are actual 49ers fans that you can razz about beating their team twice a year. Like if we just were to beat the Rams twice a year, who am I going to gloat over? Nobody.
That's a great point. Yeah, you just have to like do it out into the ether, and it's not nearly as much fun.
It's not as fun.
Well, I guess you could call Roger Goodell, right?
Did you see that Stan Kroenke's NHL team also won the Stanley Cup this year?
Catfish! Stan Kroenke, it is catfish! A backstabbing piece of shit. Catfish! Ownership style. Catfish! That guy forever. Go jump off a catfishing cliff, Stan. Yeah, I saw that. It pissed me off.
Not cool.
Although, can't we just beat the Niners twice a year and then alternate like every other year, like Rams one year, Niners the next? Like, is that a reasonable compromise?
Maybe.
Because I'd really like to beat the Rams 2 or 3 times in a year. That would feel really good. I need that in my football fandom life.
So maybe just this next year. Do we sell our Seahawks soul to beat the Rams all 3 times this next year?
I would, if history didn't suggest that no matter what, since we've entered this division, we tend to dominate it. So I have every expectation that we'll be back dominating again. So I don't know that we need to sell our soul.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, because I think the rest of the division has won 2 more division titles than we have by ourselves. Like the rest of the division combined since we entered the division.
Yep. Sounds about right. It's been fairly dominant on the Seahawks end.
Yeah, fairly dominant. That's a nice humble brag. You bet.
So 5-12 for the Cardinals. Official show prediction 7-10 for the Niners.
Yeah. Unless they break glass and bring in Jimmy, then they could be, I don't know, 10-7 team and a first round exit after a really bad back-breaking interception late in the game.
Yeah, that should have happened earlier in the playoffs this past year.
Yeah.
But somehow they managed to get all the way to the Devils championship.
That's exactly right. I don't know how. But I just don't think that's going to happen. Just history has a tendency to repeat itself. Kyle Shanahan has down years after a successful year. And this whole transition to the new quarterback, the drama surrounding the team, it just all lines up to be one of those, oh my God, who saw it coming? The Niners weren't any good this year.
Definitely not Niners fans. They're at the point to where, it's list season. So everybody's ranking, how good different teams are, and especially in terms of roster talent. And I saw one, I think it was Pro Football Talk, that had them at 13. And they're like, 13? They only have us at the 13th best roster in the league? Like, they couldn't fathom being as low as 13 in terms of roster talent.
You could sell me on anywhere from 17 to 7, probably. I mean, if you really wanted to make the argument.
You could make an argument if you're maybe leaning toward Jimmy staying as quarterback, and maybe the offensive line replacements they get or end up being decent, improving in the secondary potentially. I feel like there's a lot of ifs, though, when you're talking about if at quarterback, if on the interior O-line, and if in the secondary.
Well, and that's the annoying thing about Niners Nation right now, right? And all of the national media is they have almost the exact same questions and the exact same number of questions about their team as we do ours going into this year.
Right.
And yet somehow we're such a trash roster that, Baker didn't even really want to come here, supposedly, if you listen to some guys. And the Niners are, knocking on the doorstep of a Super Bowl.
The difference between the two being that they do have a dominant front seven on defense.
Okay.
But as far as the other spots, I would put us above them at running back.
Yep.
Receiver.
For sure.
Secondary, just based on the safety position.
Yep.
Because I feel like the corners are kind of a wash.
They've got us at linebacker now that Bobby's gone. Otherwise, I'd say that was a wash.
Yeah.
And their defensive line is better. We may have the better offensive line.
It's a big question. They at least have one proven solid dude, and maybe two. And McGlinchey's good.
I mean, I'm just saying it's possible. I'm not saying that it is for sure.
No. It is. It has potential. Just based if Cross ends up being the top 10 guy he's supposed to be.
Yeah, and Twitterless Abe.
Or maybe Curran ends up being, the competition puts him to...
Shut your mouth. Don't you ever go against Twitterless Abe ever again. He's my new favorite Seahawk, having found out that he does not believe in the mind-numbing stupidity that is Twitter.
I feel like you'd be on board with a guy like that.
No, Abe's my dude now. Okay. Like, I am going to make every excuse for any bad play that he makes going forward. I'm in a homer cover for Abe no matter what this entire year. I'm telling you right now. Just announcing it.
Team offensive MVP and future captain of the offense, Abe Lucas.
It might be a little awkward looking, but I think they'll probably have a statue of him like trying to block the Sherman statue out in front of the stadium when it's all said and done.
Let's get to the second half of the show.
Okay.
Down to the 18, 40 seconds to play in the game. Kaepernick trying to save his last two timeouts. Calls the play. His wide receiver slotted on the far side. Shotgun for Kaepernick. Takes the snap. Looks. Fires near side. Going for the end zone. Ball is picked up and after it. Is it picked up? Is it picked off? It is. It's picked off in the end zone. The Seahawks intercept in the end zone. Richard Sherman tips it. Malcolm Smith picks it off in the end zone. Intended in the far corner. The Seahawks are going to run this baby down. We are going to New Jersey. Holy smoke. The defense does it again.
And we're back, getting into the second half of the show. I think we got to do some Russell Wilson talk.
I mean, sure. I mean, we got to later on in the night at the party with all our friends and everything. And we got 5 beers in before we had to talk about our ex-girlfriend. We did pretty good. Didn't let it dominate the conversation the whole night.
No, we just referred to the Broncos in general as needing to lose, which is factual just based on us having one of their draft picks for next year.
Right. Yeah, we kept their name out of our mouth for the majority of the podcast, but now here it is.
Here it is, where we go, the late night watching of Russell Wilson clips, which ends up leading to some pretty interesting quotes, as it turns out, because Russell Wilson. Now, this was on their actual team, the Broncos team website. They put this out in video of him talking to, let's see, which their safety. Who's the good safety?
Yep. I can never remember. They cycle through safety so often that I lose track of.
As far as the Broncos defense goes, I know they got Patrick Surtain at corner. But they do have one of the top safeties in the league.
No, they do have one good one. He's
Justin
one of the better
Simmons.
ones.
Justin
there it
Simmons.
is. Jeez Louise. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, he's super handsome and everything.
Yeah. Sorry, Justin.
Not Jimmy G handsome, obviously, but.
Well, I mean.
All right. So he's talking to Justin Simmons, and he's explaining that there are some things that all winning teams need to have, and there's some really dramatic music that leads up to it.
Oh, okay.
There's a few things that I think a winning team has to have. I think, first of all, they have to be able to flip the switch. There's a switch that's always on, and there's times you have to know when to turn it off, and then it's back on. And there's not an effort to turn it back on. It just comes on. And I think that's what we're really learning and capturing. I think the defense has always had that. I think offensively we're really learning that right now, and it's coming along. And so I think that switch has got to know when to turn that switch on, and really it should be on almost all the time.
I could listen to this clip over and over. It never gets old. There's a switch that's always on, but you have to know when and how to turn it on and off. But really, it should be on all the time.
Yeah, sometimes it's off though. Like sometimes you turn it off because you got to know when to turn it off and then on. Yeah, what the catfish are you talking about, Russ? Number one, shouldn't that just be on all the time? Yes, exactly as he said it. Yes, you shouldn't be a team that's always flipping the switch. Secondly, how did the switch flip go the last 3 years of your career when it was really time to just turn it on, especially, quote, offensively, as he was talking about with Mr. Simmons there? It hasn't gone well. He doesn't know where the switch is anymore. He hasn't for a couple of years. And it's also like always compete and you know when to turn the switch on and off. No wonder Pete was sick of this nonsense.
The funniest thing about it is that this is what the Broncos, they took from Russ and they said, oh, this has to be in the video. And they edited this. Like they could have made him sound better. Because and you know how I know they edited this because they edited it poorly. You hear, and I'll play it again for everybody. What you're listening for is that's what we're really looking for, and cap. And they cut him mid-word in capturing, probably. That's what we're really learning, and cap. And again, very dramatic music build-up.
Oh, you didn't add the dramatic music. This is
is part of the video.
Wow.
There's a few things that I think a winning team has to have. I think, first of all, they have to be able to flip the switch. There's a switch that's always on, and there's times you have to know when to turn it off, and then it's back on. And there's not an effort to turn it back on. It just comes on. And I think that's what we're really learning and capturing.
Right there.
I think the defense has always had that. I think offensively we're really learning that right now, and it's coming along. And so I think that switch has got to know when to turn that switch on, and really it should be on almost all the time.
The defense has it, but this offense, oh my gosh, with what they gave me, we got to learn how to do this.
Yeah. Instead of just, I don't know, playing good.
Because Justin's right there. He's like, I'm not calling out the defense, mind you. I'm just calling out my guys on the offensive side. You guys are fine with the switch flipping.
I mean, I guess he's calling out his team. I don't even know exactly what he's saying.
Well, that's the thing. Not only did they edit it poorly, through their editing, that's the best that they could make sense out of what Russ was saying here. If it should always be on, why do you turn it off?
There's a number of things that winning teams need to have. And number one, or firstly, is you have to have a switch that's on that you can turn off, but should always be on, but then turn it on when it was off, and then it's on now. But the defense is always on.
And it's one of the things that you have to learn. That's one of the things that you really have to learn in the offseason when you're practicing.
Good Lord. That is some of the dumbest blathering I've heard since I started doing this podcast just today. Like that's dumber than anything I've said today. And that's a low effing bar.
Thank you to the Seahawks media team for never recording something like that and putting it out. Withholding that from us. I want that to be withheld from me as a fan of a team.
Yeah.
Not the dramatic musical lead up to it of, oh, Russ is about to say something important here. We gotta build up the music to the switch flipping commentary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Unbelievable. It's so funny. I was down in Colorado for a job a few weeks ago talking to dudes down there, and kind of to a T, they all sort of said the same thing. Yeah. We're kind of just embracing our corny quarterback.
Well, I think it was Mike Salk that I heard on Seattle sports radio saying that it's kind of tough for Broncos fans because they're having to deal with offseason Russ first before having all of the good stuff that would come with Russ in the season.
Right. Or the first half of the season anyway.
Right. Because they're getting the Russ dad bod photos circulating right about now.
Absolutely.
That's fun.
Yeah. Life is good for old Russell.
He's going to be fine.
Yeah,
I mean, apart from the let's ride curse, I mean, everything's going to be fine.
Look, I only
Like in his
cursed him
life.
professionally in barring injury. Like, you know, it has an injury exclusion, this curse here for 1 year. That's all I did as a disgruntled ex. I think that's being very fair. From that point forward, I wish him nothing but the best. I hope that finds everything that he's looking for in his football life. And, you know, if he ever finds himself in the dark, he's able to just flip the switch on.
We still want him to have that, you know, after this season, go on, have that Hall of Fame career with just the one Super Bowl win. So we can say that Russ, you know, he couldn't do it without Pete.
Right.
I feel like that's fair.
But God, I mean, all this stuff that keeps coming out, these guys feel like they're brainwormed by this weird personality that Russ has got going on these days with his celebrity quarterback status. I mean, it's like the Let's Ride curse is just like infiltrating the entire organization from the quarterback down. If they listen to that and take that as like actual football advice to try to accomplish throughout the season, they're going to lose a lot of games waiting for Russ to turn the switch, or maybe it's on a dimmer switch now. Like maybe it's like a rheostat, like some in the middle. Maybe there's a lot of nuance and adjustment. It's not just on or off. I don't know. Well, we'll need Russ to clarify later on. But yeah, if they're waiting for Russ to figure out if it's a lights on or lights off kind of moment, you might be waiting for a while.
Well, one group of people that does not need a dimmer switch for this show, it's our executive producers.
Yeah, they shine too damn bright. You can't put a dimmer switch on them.
You can't put a dimmer switch on these fine people. DCH, Dustin Mock, Brian Shaw, and Rebecca Christensen.
Heck yeah, man. You would think that being at their level, there'd be times they turn the switch on and off, but it's always on for them.
It's always on.
Which is always on.
And you never even, you wouldn't even think about putting a dimmer on it.
I don't think you can.
It's not possible.
I think you'd get shot.
I did do some lighting work at my house this past week.
Really? Was this a response to getting older? You just wanted better lighting at all times so you didn't feel old? Or like what happened here?
No. Emily wasn't happy with the stock lighting that went over the dining room table.
Yeah.
So we replaced that.
Ooh, so you did a chandelier.
We did a chandelier, yes.
Really? And how did this go for you?
It did. I actually did well.
Good deal. All right.
You would not believe the sweat that you can work up just climbing to the top of a ladder.
So there's that. And then there's the annoying holding the light fixture up kind of with one hand so that you have enough slack to make sure that you can then get the two wires together and get the wire nut on, right? As you're getting the neutral trying to put together, like if you drop it, then it comes undone, and then you get one wire nut on there. You're like, well, maybe that will hold it while I reach the next wire nut, and you let it go, and then it all comes undone again, and you got to start from scratch.
You know how it went well because I never dropped it once.
That's impressive.
I know.
Yeah.
I told you it went well.
Look, I'm giving you even more props. What's wrong? You were an early Better at Life and Skip Bayless candidate for that right there.
Well, I wouldn't give it to me. I'd give it to our newest member of the flock, Mark McGuire. Came in at $12 a month.
Hell yeah, man. And coming in like a big dog too at $12 a month. That's amazing. Yeah.
We're not even going to make any commentary on the name because I'm sure Mark always gets that.
I was glossing.
I know. I was pointing it out that we were glossing.
Yeah. And welcome to the Ring of Honor on the Facebook page where we continue to make fun of all of these off-season storylines as they come up in real time. It's a lot of fun. If you want some snarky football hatred, the Ring of Honor
Ring of Honor
for you.
Facebook group. I need to send. I haven't gotten Mark his invite yet. That's going to be on the way.
Okay. Well, hurry up because Mark needs to be there. I already miss Mark.
Mark hasn't even been there yet, and we miss him.
And I already miss him.
Not only did we get a new member of the flock, we got a new review on Apple Podcasts from the Flying Frisian. 5 stars, top shelf podcast. I've been listening to your episodes for a while now, and you guys are by far the best Seahawks podcast. And since Seahawks podcasts are the best kind, you guys are automatically the best podcast in my book. A little about me, I'm a college runner, and you guys have been such a blessing to me. I'm in the middle of some long mileage trainer for cross country season this fall, and I listen to your podcast on my runs whenever I can, and they honestly help me get through them a lot of the times. You guys are great chemistry, and I look forward to Brandon's transitions and Adam's rants every week. While college is expensive, look for a donation. Coming soon. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Number one, I love this human's logic pattern. So you're the best Seahawks podcast, and all the Seahawks podcasts are the best podcasts. So therefore, you're the best of the best of the best. I love that. That's exactly how a person should think. I really like that path of logic there. Secondly, if you're on mile 10 right about now, bud, just keep concentrating on your breathing. Keep that cadence just right. Don't be swinging your arms like too far side to side. Just lock in. There's no quit.
Keep those elbows tight. Tight elbows.
Exactly. Tight elbows, no
Is
quit.
that what a running coach would say?
Sure. Yeah, exactly. But appreciate the kind words. Yeah.
I appreciate the kind words. Appreciate calling me out for my transitions. I'm known for my transitions, apparently, and you're known for your rants.
Yeah. No, your transitions are legendary because I leave you hanging on an impossible precipice all the time. And it's kind of a fun game to see if you can bring it back to the rails. And you do it every time. It's like you're a locomotive engineer. Like you can always get it right back on the tracks. I don't know.
We're going on almost 10 years of doing this now. So yeah I guess maybe I've had some practice at this point.
And a full lifetime of friendship on top of that. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. You've been keeping me on the track since kindergarten. I just need a t-shirt. I just need a t-shirt with an arrow that points to one side. And then underneath of it says, keeping me on the track since kindergarten. And then every time I stand next to you, it just points at you.
And I have locomotive engineer.
Yeah. Captain locomotive engineer.
Coach, captain, locomotive engineer.
Master coach, captain, locomotive engineer.
Dookie Bear at Permadude on Twitter. We did get off the rails a bit last week when we were ranking nuts. Dookie Bear says best nuts: 1, sunflower; 2, cashew;
okay;
3, my; 4, D's; 5, 5 Brazilian; 6 peanut. Worst take Adam's had in a while now. Also, I see you forgot about the swamp ass rating on the bison. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Wait, it was my ranking of nuts. That was my worst take.
I think because you ranked peanut highly.
Oh, I see. Okay. I just like the versatility of the peanut.
Unless there was another take in that show. But I'm assuming all your Seahawks takes and all your Cardinals takes were on point. But it was the peanut take that he said was your worst one in a while.
Clearly all those other ones were rock solid. They're definitely not based in delusional fandom. So.
No. And as far as the reason why we didn't cover swamp ass rating on the bison is because it's... No, it would be a very low rating for the bison. They're very furry. I feel like that's very absorbative material that they have, and they don't really move fast unless they need to.
Yeah, but so just to play devil's advocate here, so they have long furry butts. So if that's the case, wouldn't that A, increase the heat around said giant butt? B, you said it was an absorbative material, which I believe is probably true. So wouldn't that then contain whatever sweaty moisture comes out the backside of a bison on the regular, which C leads to them having an astronomical SAW score that even BJ Finney might not be able to rival.
No, because I feel like I've heard Chris Sims say that he had one of his centers shove a towel back there.
Yeah.
During like training camp or something. And so I feel like the fur would act kind of like how a heat sink on top of a CPU processor kind of works the heat away from that, and it just dissipates the heat. It dissipates the wetness.
So bison butt hair is a wicking mechanism, is what you're saying.
Probably.
Okay. All right. That's fair. I'll go with it. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to go start harvesting some bison butt hair and start selling it for its wicking properties. Start weaving it into, knitting it into
Makes a good sweater.
Yeah.
Makes a good sweater.
Exactly. Yeah. Ever feel sweaty in your Christmas sweater? Well, look no further as we have solved this problem with bison butt hair sweaters. That's more off the rails than nuts. This is great.
It's great. Instead of sweaters, though, I would argue making socks would be the way to go, because that's where you need to wick away the sweat from the feet.
I think we're missing the actual key demographic that we could be going after here with the bison butt hair wicking material. We should be hitting up all starting and backup centers in the NFL, especially the ones that play down south.
Perfect. It's you wear
turn it into like a jock strap or underwear. Yeah.
It's kind of a limited market, but I do feel like if you market it to the league quarterbacks, they will buy these for the centers, and it's really a gift for themselves, the quarterbacks. So I think we're on the right track.
Keeps on wicking. Yeah, for sure. And we can charge quarterback money for that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or even receivers, because the ball will probably get to them a little more dry, right?
Adam Emmert not going to be working in the mill this coming fall. He's going to be designing the new
bison butt hair kingpin. That's who I'm about to be.
Jerv Reed, he had his own list. Mine, D's, Planters mixed nuts, peanut, cashew.
I mad respect for every listener that went with D's. That was a huge whiff on my part, and you're amazing. You're an amazing listener.
Mixed nuts, where do they rank for you?
Right behind D's.
just like Jerv.
Yeah, no, I think mixed nuts. That's kind of a, I don't know. It's kind of a cop-out answer. Depends on the mix of the nuts. You know,
as long as you're eating, you're welcome to have it as your favorite nut if you eat all of them. Like if you pick out your least favorite ones and toss them, that's a no-go.
That's a no-go. Nuts aren't raisins. You can't just pick them out and toss them.
Does trail mix, does that count then as a mixed nut?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And they usually ruin all trail mix with raisins.
Yeah, but there's chocolate that balances it out.
There's nothing that balances out intentionally rotted food that they put in your trail mix. I don't understand. Just put in grapes or don't. Like, I don't need rotted grapes in my trail mix. No, thank you.
Well, I have had the top shelf trail mix leaves out the raisins and cranberries. Cranberries are good. Dried cranberries in a trail mix instead of the raisins. That's where I would go.
Okay. I do like the dried cranberry better than the raisins by a fair amount, but I'm still on the fence. I'm not sure. I'm not a big fruit guy.
No?
No.
Apple chips?
Definitely not. They nasty.
Okay.
Banana chips, maybe.
Dried cranberry is probably my favorite dried fruit.
Okay.
Now, see, now we have another thing to lead people on. Favorite dried fruit. Rank them.
It's list season, boys and girls.
Banana. Banana actually tastes better dried than as actual fruit. My hot take. My hot food take.
How about as a drink, though?
Ooh, gross.
You don't like cranberry juice?
Oh, no, I like cranberry juice. Banana, but like...
Oh, okay.
I don't like banana in my smoothies.
But just a banana straight up is okay.
I would rank it. I would eat dried banana, actual banana and smoothie.
Okay.
And then banana flavored candy.
Hey, to this day, I will contend that the little banana shaped grunts or whatever they were called, runts. Yeah. Those are money. I like those.
Yeah, they're okay. But they taste more like sugar than banana.
Hey, they're shaped like a banana.
To do better and better at life.
All right, man. My do better this week is for the freaking Montana Department of Transportation. This blows my freaking mind every catfish construction season. I can't wrap my head around who is in charge of this stuff in terms of road construction and the planning and how those meetings go throughout the year. Like, I swear to God, these dumb catfish sit around the freaking office back at the garage, right, during the winter, and they're just trying to find a way to justify buying 700 billion cones that they don't freaking need. I swear they sit in there all freaking winter and plot out the 10s or 20s of miles that they will cone off throughout the entire summer for no catfishing reason other than that there's some bridge construction going on 15 miles down the freaking road. They're going to block off exits. I swear it's a game. I swear they're just sitting there going, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to actually cone off this section between St. Regis and Tura on I-90 for 10 years. We're doing it this year. And not only we're doing it, we're going to use the permanent catfish and cones that you freaking screw into the catfish and asphalt so that they won't move all catfishing summer. In and out of Phillipsburg, this last 2 weeks, they had us all catfish and blocked off for literally 17 miles to do work on one tiny bridge. It was un-catfish believable. It was so frustrating. I'm so sick of MDOT and their stupid planning of construction season every year. I want to be voted to the board of this and change everything. Maybe even get them to work at night a little bit. But to all of MDOT, you guys suck balls. Do better.
Nothing more fun than summer roads in Montana with all the cones.
I just don't understand. Like, how far in advance and after a construction project do you literally need to cone things off and slow down to 35? Because
2
it's
hours
not like
before you start.
It's not like Oregon or Washington or really anywhere else. They slow you down to like 45 or 55, right? It's always 35 in Montana.
Always 35.
For miles. You don't even see a soul.
You won't see anybody working. You'll just drive through this area that you have to slow down to 35, and then you get through the cones, and you're like, I don't even understand why I had to slow down for that.
There was no point to this other than to waste time out of my life. Thanks a lot, MDOT.
And 35 in that transition where you're going from one side of the road back to the other, that makes sense.
Sure.
But I can go 45 or 55 on a 2-lane road with cones in the middle.
Like every other 2-lane road that you drive on in the state?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
That's even narrower than the freeway that they've now turned into a 2-lane highway?
Uh-huh.
No, I can do that too. It's amazing to me. It blows my mind every year. And I tend to forget about it over winter, and I should be down in Helena, like at wherever planning office this is all going down, and just raising hell.
We need to get together with our fellow Montanans because one thing that I know when it comes time to vote, like we can come up with some really good constitutional amendments and just amend our Montana Constitution. And I think that 55 on a coned road with no workers present is something that we could get into the Constitution.
Absolutely. Or how about you cone off a mile before and a mile after a construction area?
Yeah.
Not 15 on either side.
We need to codify coning requirements in the Constitution.
That's exactly right.
It's ridiculous.
It's out of control. These socialist communist road coders. They're probably fascists too, for all I know. Come up with another ist.
Just keep throwing ists out there, and you're bound to hit one.
Yeah, they might even be like super dirty capitalists who like are secretly invested in the cone companies or on the board of the cone companies, and then recommend they buy a ton of cones every winter and then deploy them for no reason.
Those cone fat cats.
Those catfishing traffic cone fat cats. I knew I'd find a conspiracy in here.
My do better this week is for Mars Inc. A year ago, a scientific panel created by the European Food Safety Authority, they found that titanium dioxide can no longer be considered as safe when used as a food additive. And I got to say, Adam, I'm shocked that a chemical compound called titanium dioxide wouldn't be edible.
Wait, but you're not supposed to eat titanium dioxide?
I guess not. Not when it's used as a food additive.
That's crazy. How about aluminum dioxide?
That wasn't part of this particular study.
How about stainless steel dioxide?
I would venture to guess that aluminum dioxide also not food.
I was just looking at all the shiny metal dioxides and wondering like which ones are good to eat and which ones are not, because intuitively, like you said, I would expect them all to be perfectly safe.
But it took a review of hundreds of scientific studies to determine the conclusion that titanium dioxide is not food. Not only is it not food, but there are concerns that it has genotoxicity.
Holy smokes, not genotoxicity.
What is genotoxicity, you might ask?
It's when your team signs a guy for a backup quarterback named Geno who looks good for one half in his playing stint, and he's brought back to be the starter. I think that's genotoxicity.
It's when you just can't quite close out a regular season win over the Rams. Genotoxicity.
Genotoxicity.
Well, what is genotoxicity? It is the ability to damage our DNA. And so reading right from the study, published again by the European Food Safety Authority Journal, quote, with respect to genotoxicity, the panel concluded that titanium dioxide particles have the potential to induce DNA strand breaks and chromosomal damage, but not gene mutations. So at least it doesn't cause genetic mutation.
Oh, okay. So it just kills your genes. It doesn't allow them to mutate into
it breaks strands of DNA, or it has the potential to, and cause chromosomal damage.
I'm pretty sure this is how Spider-Man was made. I think they're lying.
So why should we care? Right? Titanium dioxide. I wouldn't eat that if I knew that.
Oh shoot! It's probably absolutely nothing.
What does Mars Inc. have to do with this? Mars is the maker of freaking Skittles. Yes, the glorious candy that our beloved Marshawn Lynch celebrated with after scoring touchdowns. Not only is it in Skittles, it's in Starburst, Swedish Fish, Jell-O, Little Debbie Snacks, Tasty Cakes, and Sour Patch Kids. A nonprofit called the Environmental Working Group found that it's in more than 3,000 different products, and it's now been over a year since we've learned this, and Mars doesn't seem like it's going to be doing anything, to the point that someone had to file a class action lawsuit, which hopefully that'll fix things, because I'd like to be able to eat Skittles and not have to worry about my DNA being damaged. Mars Inc., do better.
Good Lord, that makes me feel like the worst parent that's ever parented. Like, my daughter loves Sour Patch Kids and has ate them religiously, like every road trip, all that stuff. Like, think of all the DNA that's broken inside of her now.
Right?
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Mars Inc.
It's probably one of those things where you have to have a lot of it. But yeah, if you think about how much you've consumed in terms of Swedish Fish, Sour Patch Kids, Skittles, Starburst, it's been a lot.
You're more of a candy guy than I am. So I have a feeling you might be more at risk at this.
I am more of a chocolate candy person, though.
Okay.
And it's just because a lot of the fruity candy is so sticky.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't like that sticky texture, that's for sure.
Now, thank goodness, I did not see peanut butter cups on the list of the 3,000 different foods that titanium dioxide's in.
Don't worry. It's only chock full of that high fructose corn syrup giving you diabetes directly. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Sugar, also a type of poison.
Yeah. Yeah, it turns out. But it's a tasty poison.
At least I don't have to look for titanium dioxide on my labels now.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see, because the court system always fixes these problems. I can't wait.
There have to be Skittles lovers in Europe, right? That they've classified it not as food in Europe. So if they're going to be able to sell Skittles in Europe now, they're going to have to change the formula. So do we have to? It's like when you get Coke from like the Mexico bottles of Coke that has the real sugar.
You mean the good ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we just going to have to order our Skittles from Europe now?
Yeah.
I want the European Skittles.
Yeah. I'm going to need some Amsterdam Skittles. That's what I'm going to need.
Might be a little extra on it from Amsterdam.
You know.
On to Better at Life.
All right, man. My Better at Life this week is for a man I actually referenced a little earlier in the show because he was top of mind, knowing that he was going to be better at life this week. Jake the Snake Plummer. Article just came out here recently about Jake Plummer and what he's been doing since his football career has ended. And for those of you who haven't been following the great and mysterious Jake Plummer, you're missing out because he's had maybe the greatest post-football career in life that I've seen in a long time. So first off, he gets rid of Mike Shanahan from his life because he's a dick, retires, and immediately marries a cheerleader, moves to a small town in Idaho, and just starts living in the mountains and chilling out. So that's what he does for a little while, just to kind of get his body back into shape. Then he starts to play professional handball for a while, becomes awesome at that because, he just rolls out of the bed and just looks in the mirror and is like, oh, there's greatness again. He just had another one of those days and became a handball champion. Then began to press the NFL to allow NFL players to use CBD and other medical marijuana products to help them heal their bodies throughout a season, and took it up even after being a player for all the current players and trying to push that forward. And now you wonder, what is hobo Jake Plummer doing these days? Because if you see a picture of him, he could be a hobo, which I think is fantastic. He is starting to be a medicinal mushroom farmer. And no, it's not all magic mushrooms, so stop it. But things like lion's mane mushrooms that help brain function, things like that. He's deep into that, looking for different things that could possibly improve former players' lives, taking a big risk and starting this new company. Jake Plummer, just catfish and killing it post career. Better at life than Skip Bayless.
Just up in the mountains, playing handball, growing mushrooms.
Married a cheerleader. Nailed it.
It sounds like, let's see, you're a third. Well, no, you're not married. So, but I think you're on track. Like, you have all three of those things in your sights as potential.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll be a professional handball player any day now.
Not necessarily handball, but curling.
Yeah, I am a curling champion. So let's not forget that.
So
that's
curling,
right.
Growing medicinal products in the forest.
Sure.
And Brittany was high school cheerleader.
I've got a former University of Hawaii cheerleader. Yeah.
Oh, shoot. She was a college cheerleader, too. I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
For a year before she got kicked off.
We don't need to get into that.
No. She just had a good time when she was in Hawaii. That's all.
Well, my better at life this week is for a guy who is having a great time at life, DK Metcalf, who can now add movie star to his growing resume. He's going to make his movie debut starring in the film Secret Headquarters. And I say starring in because he's actually, if you haven't seen the trailer, Adam, he's in the trailer.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
I haven't seen
I don't know if that's his entirety of lines that they just managed to jam into the trailer itself.
I really hope so.
Going off of the trailer, it actually looks like a good family movie. It looks like it's about a kid who finds out that his dad is a superhero. Again, I don't know if that's DK Metcalf's only line that made it into the trailer, but Owen Wilson co-starring, Michael Pena is in it. Looks like he's pretty funny as a villain in it.
Okay.
And of course, DK Metcalf's in it. I'm going to be watching it. I'm going to be making my kids watch it. Again, family film. I'm in. DK Metcalf for adding to his already impressive resume. Better at life than Skip Bayless.
Yeah, I'm into it in terms of it's kind of fun to see him branch out and all that stuff, but I hope it's a very minimized role and he doesn't have to concentrate too much on his acting career because he's got one that I'm a little more concerned about. He's
got a different career that you'd like to see him. You want to see him
That's
get
exactly right.
Maybe more into the track, Olympic track athlete side of his.
Yeah. I'm really going to need him to be a better triple jumper.
He's a sprinter. So, okay. Ranking DK
I know,
Metcalf.
that's what I'm saying. He's fine at sprints. He needs to work on the triple jump.
Okay. So number 1, Seahawks wide receiver. Number 2, sprinting. Number 3, acting. And then 4, do you go triple jump or do you go, you want triple jump at the 3 spot and acting at the 4? Like as we're ranking DK Metcalf's all-time career choices.
I want to go triple jump number 2 just because I find it to be a very entertaining event.
I bet he'd crush the triple jump.
Exactly. And who came up with that format anyways? Like, all right, I'm coming up with a new track and field deal here, guys. All right. First, you take a huge step and then a skip and then a jump. We'll call it the triple jump. That's what we're doing. Step, skip, jump. That's it. That's the new thing.
So really, it's really only a double. I don't know. Is a skip a jump? A skip.
Yeah, I think a skip is a jump.
Yeah, but a step is not a jump.
No, but it's kind of a jump step because there is a jump step like in the NBA. Guys will do a jump step.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that term.
It's part of the traveling violation that never gets called.
Yeah, I just think whoever made the triple jump up was a charlatan of epic proportions. Like he was. That was based on a dare. It's basically the Scientology of track and field.
And with that,
There's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.